I know what it feels like to lose everything, to look around and see only the wreckage of what was once your life. I know because I lost everything too, just like Job, and I discovered the exact protocol he used to not only recover, but to receive everything back a double. Kathryn Kuhlman taught me this protocol 3 days before I lost my last hope. She knew I was about to give up. She knew I'd exhausted every human option. That's why she decided to break a silence of 40 years. She had discovered something in Job's personal journals that no theologian had ever found. The exact method he used during his 7 months of suffering, not just to endure the losses, but to program a restoration that would surpass everything he'd lost. Job didn't suffer passively. He had a plan, a specific protocol, a spiritual strategy that transformed his greatest defeat into the greatest victory in biblical history. And today, you're going to learn exactly how he did it. Let me tell you my story first, because maybe you'll recognize yourself in it. Maybe your situation is similar to mine, and maybe you need the same hope Kathryn gave me that day. I had a construction company, 15 years of hard work, 50 employees, multi-million-dollar contracts, a life that seemed as solid as the houses I built, until it all crumbled in a matter of weeks. The economic crisis hit like a hurricane. Clients canceled contracts, banks cut off credit, suppliers demanded immediate payment. In 2 months, I'd lost the company. In 4 months, my home. In 6 months, my wife left, taking our children. I was broke, alone, hopeless, sleeping in my car, eating once a day, thinking about giving up everything. That's when Kathryn came into my life. She found me in a small church where I'd gone to ask for help. I was sitting in the back row, crying like a child. She approached me and simply said, "You're going through Job's test, and I know how he won." Kathryn took me to a cafe, asked me to tell her everything, listened in silence. At the end, she smiled and said, "Job lost 10 times more than you, and he recovered 20 times more. Want to know how?" She told me she'd spent decades studying the story of Job, not as a theologian, but as an investigator, searching for historical evidence, ancient manuscripts, lost oral traditions. In 1975, she found something extraordinary. A Syrian monastery held fragments of diaries that supposedly belonged to Job, written in ancient Aramaic, detailing day by day what he did during his months of suffering. It took Kathryn years to translate. What she discovered changed her understanding of the entire story. Job wasn't just a suffering man. He was a man executing a specific protocol to transform loss into multiplied gain. She tested the protocol on herself first. She was going through serious financial difficulties at the time. Her ministry was in crisis. Donations were dwindling. Criticism was mounting. She applied Job's method for 72 hours. In 1 week, her situation began to change. In 1 month, she was better off than before the crisis. In 6 months, she had achieved the greatest success of her career. It wasn't a coincidence. It was the result of the protocol. But Kathryn kept it a secret for decades, tested it with only a few people, always with impressive results and always with the same transformation, from total ruin to double blessing, until she met me on that church bench. She taught me the protocol on a Tuesday. I started on Wednesday night. 72 hours later, on Saturday night, my life had completely changed. Not externally yet, but internally. I knew the restoration had begun. The following Monday, I received an unexpected call. An old client wanted to hire me for an urgent project. On Tuesday, a lawyer contacted me with a partnership proposal. On Wednesday, my wife called wanting to talk about reconciliation. In 3 months, I was back in business. In 6 months, I had recovered half of what I'd lost. In a year, I was earning more than before the crisis. In 2 years, I had built an empire much larger than the previous one. But the most impressive thing wasn't how much I recovered. It was how I recovered. Without desperate effort, without anxiety, without fear, as if the restoration were natural, inevitable, programmed, because it was. Job's protocol programs automatic restoration. No matter the size of the loss, no matter how long you've been in crisis, no matter how many attempts have already failed, 72 hours of correct application of the protocol reverses any ruin, any loss, any destruction. Now I'm going to explain exactly how it works. Job discovered something that few humans know. There's a spiritual law called cosmic compensation. The universe maintains a perfect balance. Every excessive loss generates the right to proportional gain. Every deep descent creates energy for a high ascent. But it has to be genuine loss, not simulated, not exaggerated. It has to be real devastation. Ruin that forces you to recognize complete dependence on higher powers. Only then does cosmic compensation activate. Job lost children, wealth, health, reputation. Even his wife abandoned him. It was total devastation. Real, genuine. That's why the compensation he received was proportional, double what he had lost. You can also activate this law. If your loss was real, if your pain is genuine, if you've reached the bottom of the pit where human pride no longer exists, the protocol has 3 phases, each lasting 24 hours, 72 hours total. It can't be less. It can't be more. It's the exact time the compensation energy takes to organize around you. Phase 1, total acceptance of loss. Phase 2, activation of paradoxical gratitude. Phase 3, programming of double restoration. I'll teach you each phase, but first I need to warn you about something crucial. The protocol only works for those who have really lost a lot, not for those who only have difficulties, not for those who want more than they already have, only for those who have experienced real devastation. If you haven't lost at least 70% of what you considered important in life, the protocol won't work. Cosmic compensation only responds to genuinely devastating losses. But if you've lost almost everything, if you're at the bottom of the pit, if you feel you have nothing left to lose, then you're qualified. Then the protocol will work. The first phase begins by recognizing that your loss was allowed for a higher reason, not caused by God, but allowed, to teach you something that is only learned at the bottom of the pit, to give you authority that is only gained by going through real devastation. Job understood this after months of suffering. He stopped questioning why he lost everything. He started asking what he should learn. He stopped fighting the loss. He began to accept that there was a higher purpose. This shift in perspective, this is what triggered his restoration. You will do the same exercise that Job did for 24 hours. You will practice total acceptance of all you have lost, not resignation, acceptance. Acknowledgement that your losses have a greater purpose that you don't yet fully understand. Begin on a Friday at 6 in the evening. Sit in a quiet place. Make a list of everything you've lost. Money, relationships, opportunities, health, reputation, hopes, everything. For each item on the list, say aloud, I accept that I lost this for a reason I don't yet fully understand. I trust that there is a higher purpose in this loss. I stop fighting what has already happened. This isn't about liking the law. It's about stopping wasting energy resisting what is reality. Energy that can be redirected to program restoration. For the next 24 hours, every time you feel anger, resentment, or self-pity about your losses, repeat, I accept, I trust, I stop resisting. It seems simple, but it's the hardest part of the protocol. Our human nature wants to fight. It wants to blame. It wants to resist, but resistance blocks compensation. Acceptance unlocks it. Job struggled for months before learning this. You can learn it in 24 hours if you follow the protocol correctly. On Saturday at 6 in the evening, the first phase will be complete. You will feel something shifting internally, a strange peace, a resignation that is not giving up, but wisdom. It's a sign that cosmic compensation has begun to activate. The second phase is even more counterintuitive. You will practice gratitude for your losses, not in spite of them, because of them, recognizing that they were necessary for your spiritual growth. Job did this when he said, Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. He was thanking for the complete experience, gains and losses. Paradoxical gratitude is different from common gratitude. Common gratitude thanks for what is good. Paradoxical gratitude thanks for what seems bad, but serves a higher purpose. During the second phase, you will specifically thank for your losses, for the lessons they brought, for the humility they taught, for the compassion they developed, for the wisdom they generated. Start on Saturday at 6 in the evening. Take the same list of losses from the first phase. For each item, find at least 3 genuine reasons for gratitude related to that specific loss. Loss of money. Give thanks for learning to live with less, for discovering what really matters, for for developing creativity that wealth doesn't teach. Loss of a relationship. Give thanks for discovering your inner strength, for learning to be happy alone, for being freed from a relationship that may not have been healthy. Loss of a job. Give thanks for the opportunity to start over, for discovering talents that routine didn't reveal, for being forced out of your comfort zone. This isn't about pretending the losses were good. It's about recognizing that they served purposes you didn't plan, but were necessary. Practice paradoxical gratitude for 24 full hours. Every time you think about the losses, immediately find something to be grateful for related to that specific loss. On Sunday at 6 in the evening, you will feel an even deeper shift. A peace that transcends understanding, a confidence that everything will work out better than before. It's a sign that the energy of compensation is organizing itself around you. The third phase is when you specifically program how you want the restoration to happen. Not just that it happens, but how, in what areas, with what intensity, with what speed. Job did this when he prayed for the friends who had criticized him. He stopped focusing on his own restoration and began to bless others. It was at that precise moment that God restored his fortune and gave him double what he had lost. The third phase combines two powerful energies: genuine generosity and specific expectation. You will program your restoration through acts of generosity towards others who are suffering similar losses. Begin on Sunday at 6 in the evening. Identify 3 people who are experiencing losses similar to yours. It could be acquaintances, it could be strangers, it could be people you've met in support groups. The important thing is that they are genuinely suffering. Over the next 24 hours, you will do something concrete to help each of these 3 people. It doesn't have to be big. It could be a call of encouragement, a specific prayer, a small practical help, a sincere hug. But while helping, you will mentally program your own restoration. For each act of generosity, declare internally, "As I bless others, I am blessed. As I help others restore themselves, I am restored. As I offer hope, I receive multiplied hope." This programming is not selfish. It is recognition of the universal law of reciprocity. What you genuinely sow, you reap multiply. Job discovered this when he prayed for his friends. His restoration began at that very moment, during the third phase. You will also create what I call a double restoration map. A specific description of how you want each lost area to be restored. Double. If you lost $100,000, visualize and declare the restoration of $200,000. If you lost a relationship, declare the attraction of a relationship twice as good. If you lost your health, declare double the previous health and vitality. Be specific, be bold, be detailed. Job received double everything because he expected double everything. His specific expectation programs specific restoration. Write your double restoration map during the third phase. Read it aloud 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and night. Declare it as a guaranteed future reality, not as an uncertain wish. On Monday at 6 in the evening, and the protocol will be complete. 72 hours of acceptance, paradoxical gratitude, and double restoration programming. You will feel that something fundamental has changed in your life. Not necessarily in the circumstances yet, but in your energy, in your confidence, in your inner certainty. In the coming weeks, you will begin to see external signs of restoration, unexpected opportunities, surprising invitations, solutions that appear out of nowhere, people entering your life at the right time. It won't be coincidence. It will be the result of cosmic compensation activated by Job's protocol. Kathryn Kuhlman knew this. Trust in her wisdom. Trust in the process. Let me tell you about some people who applied the protocol and experienced extraordinary results. Mary had lost her home to foreclosure. She was living with her children in her sister's house, unemployed, no prospects, depressed and hopeless. She applied the protocol one weekend. The following week, a distant cousin she hadn't seen in years called offering a job. At the end of the month, she discovered she was entitled to insurance she didn't know existed. Within 3 months, she had rented her own home. In 6 months, she bought a house better than the one she'd lost. Carlos had lost his 20-year marriage. His wife had an affair and filed for divorce. He was devastated, isolated, suicidal. He applied the protocol on a Friday. A month later, he met a woman under unexpected circumstances. 6 months later, he was dating someone far more compatible than his ex-wife. A year later, he remarried. Today, he says his first marriage had to end for his second, much better marriage to happen. Robert had lost the family business he'd spent 20 years building. A failed partnership, lawsuits, bankruptcy. He was financially and emotionally ruined. He applied the protocol during a depressive crisis. 3 weeks later, a former client approached him with a consulting proposal. 2 months later, he was earning more as a consultant than he had as a businessman. 6 months later, he started a new company. Today, he has a far more prosperous and healthy business than before. In all these cases, the restoration not only compensated for the losses, it surpassed in quality and quantity everything that had been lost. Exactly as it happened with Job. Exactly as it's programmed into the law of cosmic compensation. But there's something important I need to tell you. The protocol only works once in a lifetime. You can't apply it again if you have new losses. Cosmic compensation only responds to one major devastation per person. That's why it's crucial to apply it at the right time. When you've truly hit rock bottom, when you've lost most of what you considered important, when you feel you have nothing left to lose. If you apply it before reaching that point, the protocol may work partially, but not with maximum power, not with the guarantee of double restoration. Job applied it after losing literally everything. That's why the restoration was proportionally extraordinary. If you want similar results, you need to be in a similarly devastating situation. Another important detail, restoration begins internally before manifesting externally. First, you'll feel a change in your energy, in your confidence, in your perspective. Then the circumstances begin to change. Don't give up if external results don't appear immediately. Cosmic compensation works in perfect timing. Sometimes it takes weeks, sometimes months, but it always happens for those who have applied the protocol correctly. Job waited months to see complete restoration, but when it came, it exceeded all expectations. Patience is part of the process. Trust is part of the programming. Now I want to tell you about the most impressive discovery Kathryn made in Job's diaries, something she almost didn't believe when she translated it. Job didn't apply the protocol just once. He developed a preventative version that he applied regularly to avoid future losses, a way to keep the protection of cosmic compensation active. Kathryn found detailed instructions on this maintenance protocol. Exercises that Job did monthly to ensure he would never again go through similar devastation. After the restoration, Job lived 140 years without significant losses. He died old, prosperous, and surrounded by family. It wasn't luck. It was the result of the constant maintenance of the compensation energy. I teach this maintenance protocol only to those who apply the main protocol and obtain results. It's like spiritual insurance. Protection against future devastations. But that's a conversation for after your restoration. Now the focus is on applying the 72 hours that will reverse your current ruin. Before I finish, I want to give you some practical guidelines to maximize the results of the protocol. First guideline: don't tell anyone you're applying the protocol. Maintain total secrecy. External opinions can interfere with the energy. Outside skepticism can block results. Second guideline: avoid negative news during the 72 hours. Don't watch the news. Don't read about economic crises. Don't consume content that reinforces a scarcity mentality. Third guideline: eat lightly and drink plenty of water. Partial fasting facilitates spiritual connection. Abundant hydration cleanses stagnant energy. Your body needs to be light for the process. Fourth guideline: sleep at least 8 hours a night during the protocol. Your subconscious processes the changes during sleep. Adequate rest accelerates results. Fifth guideline: write down everything you feel during the 72 hours. Insights, intuitions, unexpected ideas, significant dreams. These could be messages about how the restoration will happen. Sixth guideline: after the protocol, pay attention to synchronicities, impossible coincidences, unexpected encounters, opportunities that arise out of nowhere. These are signs that cosmic compensation is active. Seventh guideline: when restoration begins to manifest, remember to give thanks. Gratitude accelerates and amplifies results. Ingratitude can interrupt the process. Now a serious warning: Job's protocol is extremely powerful. It deals with deep spiritual laws. If used incorrectly or with wrong intentions, it can have negative effects. Don't use it to harm anyone. Don't use it for revenge. Don't use it to gain unfair advantage. Use it only for the legitimate restoration of genuine losses. Cosmic compensation is just, it restores what has been unjustly lost, but it does not tolerate manipulation. It does not accept attempts at exploitation. Use the protocol with a pure heart and correct intentions. Job was an integrity man. That's why he received total restoration. If you want similar results, you need to have similar integrity, honesty with yourself, purity of motivation, genuine humility. Remember, you are dealing with forces that govern the universe. Respect the process. Follow the instructions exactly. Trust in the perfect timing of the restoration. Your current devastation is not the end of the story. It's the middle of the story and the hardest part, but not the final one. If Job could transform total loss into double blessing, so can you. The protocol is in your hands. The instructions are clear. The example of success is in the Bible. The energy of cosmic compensation is available to you. 72 hours separate you from the greatest restoration of your life. 72 hours to prove that no loss is final when you understand the laws governing restoration. 72 hours to discover that your end can be your beginning, that your defeat can be your victory, that your devastation can be your preparation for double blessing. Job lost everything in one morning, and he recovered everything twofold by following a specific protocol. You can do the same, you will do the same, because the same law that restored Job is active today. The same energy that compensated for his losses is available to you. The same protocol that transformed devastation into double blessing works now. Your time has come. Your restoration is scheduled. Your double blessing is guaranteed. Begin next Friday at 6 in the evening. 72 hours later, your life will be completely different, forever. As it was for Job, as it was for me, as it will be for you. Cosmic compensation does not fail. The protocol does not fail. Restoration does not fail. You will not fail. But before you begin, I need to tell you something Kathryn revealed to me only at the end of our conversation. Something she called Job's most dangerous secret. Knowledge she guarded for 50 years because she knew it could be too revolutionary for humanity. She discovered that Job didn't just apply the protocol once. He taught it to other people, and they all obtained similar results. There was a secret community of people who mastered the art of double restoration. This community existed for centuries, always in secret, always transmitting the knowledge only to those who had experienced real devastation. Until it completely disappeared in the Middle Ages, Kathryn spent the last 20 years of her life searching for descendants of this community. She found clues in ancient monasteries, hidden manuscripts, oral traditions that survived in specific families, and she discovered something that kept her awake for weeks. Job's protocol is not just individual, there is a collective version, a way to apply cosmic compensation to entire communities, cities, regions, even countries. She found evidence that this collective version was used only 3 times in history, always in moments of extreme civilizational crisis, and it always resulted in unprecedented eras of prosperity. The first time it was applied by the Hebrews in Egypt. It resulted in the Exodus and the Promised Land. The second time it was applied by the early Christians during the Roman persecutions. It resulted in the conversion of the Roman Empire. The third time it was applied by Irish monks during the Viking invasion. It resulted in the Irish Renaissance. Kathryn believed that the time for the fourth application was approaching, a global crisis that would require planetary restoration, and that people like you who mastered the individual protocol would be the seeds of this collective transformation. But she died before revealing how the collective version works. She took that secret to her grave. Or did she? 3 months before she died, Kathryn gave me a key, literally an old metal key. She said it opened a safe in Jerusalem, and that inside the safe were instructions for the collective application of the protocol. She made me promise that I would only open the safe when I found at least 100 people who had successfully applied the individual protocol. 100 people demonstrably restored, prepared for a greater mission. Today I have 97 names on my list. Maybe you are number 98 or 99, or even number 100, who will complete the group and authorize the opening of the safe. Perhaps your personal restoration is only the first step of something much bigger, a preparation to participate in the greatest restoration in human history. But these are future possibilities. Now the focus is on your personal restoration, your 72 hours of transformation, your passage from devastation to double blessing. Let me give you some additional secrets I've learned applying the protocol hundreds of times, details that make the difference between partial success and total success. The first additional secret is about what I call last-minute resistance. It always happens. When you are about to complete the 72 hours, your mind will try to sabotage you. Thoughts like, "This is foolish. It's not going to work. I'm wasting my time. I'd better look for practical solutions." These thoughts are not they are from the energy of devastation trying to keep you trapped. It's a sign that the protocol is working. Resistance always increases before victory. Job went through this too. In the journals, he describes moments of intense doubt shortly before the restoration began. He almost gave up several times, but he persevered, and he was rewarded. When resistance appears, and it will appear, remember, it's proof that you're on the right path. It's evidence that cosmic compensation is activating. It's a sign that your restoration is near. The second additional secret is about what I call confirmation signs. During the 72 hours, you will receive small signs that the protocol is working. It could be an unexpected phone call from someone you haven't spoken to in years, a song that plays on the radio at the exact moment you need encouragement, an animal that appears and looks at you strangely, an impossible coincidence. These signs are not coincidences. They are confirmations that the energy of compensation is organizing around you. They are messages that you are tuned into the correct frequencies. Write down all the signs, no matter how small they seem. They form a pattern that reveals how your restoration will manifest. Maria, the woman who lost her home, received several signs during the protocol. A butterfly entered her sister's house and landed on her hand. It had never happened before. She found a dollar coin on the street, exactly when she was doing a gratitude exercise. The radio played her favorite song 3 times in one day. She wrote everything down. Then she realized that the signs formed a pattern, all related to new beginnings. And that's exactly what happened. Her life started over in a completely new way. The third additional secret is about preparation to receive. Most people are not psychologically prepared to receive double blessing. They are used to struggle, to scarcity, to difficulty. When restoration begins, they may enter into unconscious sabotage, rejecting opportunities, doubting proposals, not feeling worthy of abundance. During the 72 hours, you need to prepare your mind to receive much more than you lost, much more than you consider normal for your life. Practice seeing yourself prosperous, seeing yourself abundant, seeing yourself restored, not as a fantasy but as a new normality. Your mind needs to be comfortable with the idea of receiving double blessings. Job did this consistently. Even in devastation, he kept alive the vision of abundant restoration, not just recovery, but multiplication. So when restoration came, he was ready to receive it completely. The fourth additional secret is about divine timing. Restoration always happens at the perfect time, not your timing, cosmic timing. You might want it to happen immediately or in a month, or before Christmas, but cosmic compensation works on its own schedule, always at the ideal moment for maximum effectiveness. Job waited months. I waited 6 weeks. Maria waited 3 weeks. Carlos waited 2 months. Each person has a different timing based on factors that only cosmic wisdom knows. Patience is not passivity. It's active trust. It's the certainty that your restoration is happening even when you don't see external evidence yet. During the waiting period, maintain faith, maintain gratitude, maintain positive expectation, and most importantly, maintain generosity. Continue helping others who are suffering losses. The fifth additional secret is about progressive amplification. Restoration rarely happens all at once. It usually comes in progressive waves, each wave bigger than the previous one. First, you receive 10% of what you lost, then 20%. Then 50%, until you eventually receive double everything. Don't get discouraged if the first wave seems small. It's just the beginning. Each small restoration generates energy for the next, larger one. Celebrate every victory, no matter how small. Gratitude for partial restoration accelerates total restoration. Every thank you say is fuel for the next wave. Now I want to tell you about the most common mistakes that prevent the protocol from working at maximum power. Mistakes I learned by observing people who applied it incorrectly. The first mistake is premature application. Many people apply the protocol before they reach the true bottom of the well. They still have resources, they still have options, they still have pride. The protocol only works in a state of total surrender, when you really have nothing left to lose, when all human alternatives have been exhausted, when you are completely dependent on higher intervention. If you apply it with a safety net, the results will be limited. Cosmic compensation responds to genuine vulnerability, not strategic difficulty. The second mistake is contamination by external opinion. Some people tell friends or family that they are applying the protocol. They receive skepticism, doubts, discouragement. These negative opinions create energetic interference. They partially block the activation of cosmic compensation. They reduce the effectiveness of the process. Maintain absolute secrecy, not even to a spouse, not even to a pastor, not even to a therapist. Only tell after the restoration is visibly manifested. The third mistake is destructive impatience. Some people expect immediate results. When they don't see external changes in a week, they start to doubt. They stop applying the principles. They return to a scarcity mindset. This interrupts the process. It's like planting a seed and digging it up to see if it's growing. Doubt kills the restoration programming. Set a minimum deadline of 3 months to see complete results. During this period, maintain unwavering faith, even if nothing seems to be changing externally. The fourth mistake is selective application. Some people only do parts of the protocol. They skip the acceptance phase because it's painful, or they avoid paradoxical gratitude because it seems absurd, or they don't specifically program double restoration. The protocol works as an integrated system. Each phase prepares the next. Each exercise activates a different layer of cosmic compensation. Skipping any part drastically reduces the results. Do everything exactly as instructed, in the correct order, at the specified timing, without intelligent modifications. The fifth mistake is selfish restoration. Some people apply the protocol only for their own benefit. They don't develop genuine generosity. They don't help others who are suffering. Cosmic compensation is a law of reciprocity. If you don't give, you don't receive multiplied. If you don't bless others, your own blessing is limited. During and after the protocol, constantly seek opportunities to help people who are going through losses similar to yours. Your generosity determines the amplitude of your restoration. Now I'm going to teach you some advanced exercises that potentiate each phase of the protocol. Techniques I discovered by testing variations with different people. To potentiate the first phase, total acceptance, add what I call the release ritual. In addition to verbally accepting your losses, you will symbolically surrender them to the universe. Write each loss on a separate piece of paper. Use a red pen representing the emotional blood that loss cost. Then burn each paper in a white candle saying, "I surrender this loss to the universe for transformation into a blessing." Watch each paper burn completely. Visualize the smoke taking away all resistance, all revolt, all bitterness related to that specific loss. Keep the ashes in a small jar. At the end of 72 hours, scatter the ashes on the earth, symbolizing that your losses have become fertilizer for new growth. To potentiate the second phase, paradoxical gratitude, add the exercise of the 3 hidden blessings. For each loss, find not only reasons for gratitude, but 3 specific blessings that could only come through that loss. For example, if you lost your job, find 3 specific opportunities that only arose because you became unemployed. Knowledge you only acquired because you had free time. Relationships you only developed because you left your routine. Talents you only discovered because you were forced to reinvent yourself. Be specific, be detailed, be rigorously honest about how each loss generated at least 3 real benefits that wouldn't exist without it. To potentiate the third phase, programming of double restoration, add the sensory map of abundance. Don't just visualize your restoration, feel it with all your senses. What will be the smell of restored prosperity, the sound of opportunities arriving, the texture of abundance in your hands, the taste of victory, the vision of the double blessing? Create a detailed sensory map. Practice physically feeling your future restoration. Your subconscious mind responds more to sensations than to images. The more real you feel it, the more real it becomes. I also want to teach you what I call the emergency protocol. For situations where you can't wait until Friday to begin, where the urgency is extreme. The emergency protocol compresses the 72 hours into 24 intense hours. It's less comfortable, but equally effective when applied correctly. From 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., intensive total acceptance, 8 consecutive hours. From 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., intensive paradoxical gratitude, 8 consecutive hours. From 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., intensive programming of double restoration, 8 consecutive hours. During the emergency protocol, you cannot sleep. You cannot eat full meals, only fruit and water. You cannot have any distractions. It's total immersion in transformation. Job applied a similar version when he learned that friends were coming to comfort him. He knew he needed to complete the process before their arrival, to avoid outside interference. Only use the emergency protocol in truly urgent situations, when the normal 3-day application isn't possible due to extreme circumstances. Now I'll reveal something few know. There's a way to check if you're qualified to apply the protocol before you even begin. A test Job developed to confirm if he was at the appropriate level of devastation. It's called the Test of 10 Attachments. Make a list of the 10 most important elements in your life before your losses. Relationships, possessions, positions, dreams, identities, security, plans, pride, control, certainties. If you lost at least 7 out of 10, you're qualified for the complete protocol. If you lost 5 or 6 out of 10, you can apply it with partial results. If you lost fewer than 5 out of 10, you haven't yet reached the level of devastation necessary for maximum activation of cosmic compensation. Be brutally honest in this assessment. Self-deception reduces results. Brutal honesty accelerates restoration. Another important secret, the protocol has cumulative effects. People who have applied it and been restored develop partial immunity to future devastations. It doesn't mean they won't face difficulties, but that they have internal resources to cope without hitting rock bottom again. This explains why Job lived 140 years without significant losses after his restoration. The protocol doesn't just restore. It permanently strengthens your ability to cope with adversity. You will acquire this same strength, this same immunity, this same ability to prosper, even amidst crises that devastate others. I also want to tell you about the phenomenon I call contagious blessing. People who have successfully applied the protocol naturally begin to attract other people going through similar losses. You will become a magnet for devastated people, not by chance, by purpose. You will have constant opportunities to teach what you've learned, to help others restore themselves, to multiply the energy of compensation in the world. Emily today helps other women who have lost their homes. Lucas guides men going through divorce. Robert mentors bankrupt entrepreneurs. They have all become channels of restoration for others. This isn't an obligation. It's a natural consequence. When you are restored, you develop a special compassion for those in the situation you overcame. And this compassion becomes a tool to accelerate your own continuous abundance. The more you help others restore themselves, the more your own restoration solidifies and expands. It's a virtuous cycle of multiplied blessing. Before I finish, I want to warn you about something Kathryn discovered in the last manuscript she translated, something she called the Great Separation. She found evidence that humanity is dividing into 2 groups, those who master spiritual laws of abundance and restoration, and those who remain trapped in material laws of scarcity and limitation. The group that masters spiritual laws prospers more and more. They develop seemingly supernatural abilities. They live in increasing abundance, even amidst global crises. The group trapped in material laws struggles more and more. They become dependent on external systems. They live in increasing scarcity, even amidst global abundance. Kathryn believed that people like you, capable of applying protocols like Job's, are part of the first group. They are pioneers of a new way of life based on higher laws. Your personal restoration isn't just about you. It's about demonstrating that there is a superior way to deal with adversity, a way that transcends material limitations and operates through spiritual laws. You can become a living example that devastation is not permanent, that loss is not final, that there is always a superior protocol for restoration when you know the correct laws. Others will observe your transformation. They will want to know how you did it. They will ask you to teach what you've learned. You will become a beacon of hope for those who haven't yet discovered that there is a way out of any devastation. But first, you need to apply the protocol. Go through the 72 hours. Experience for yourself the reality of cosmic compensation. Prove that Job wasn't an exception, but an example of what is possible for anyone who knows and applies the correct laws. Your journey is about to begin. Your restoration is programmed. Your double blessing is guaranteed. All you need to do is start next Friday at 6 in the evening, or apply the emergency protocol if you can't wait. 72 hours to prove that no loss is greater than the laws of restoration. 72 hours to discover that devastation is disguised preparation. 72 hours to become the next person to experience Job's miracle. The protocol is complete. The instructions are clear. The promise is guaranteed. Now all you have to do is apply it and witness the impossible becoming inevitable, as it happened with Job, as it happened with me, as it will happen with you. Your double restoration began the moment you decided not to give up, and it will be completed in the next 72 hours, forever.